Hello everyone, my name is Michael SK and welcome back to Chaos Head Noah. In the last episode, Shogun gave us a hand. Literally. I really don't know how else to say that other than, well, I guess I could say that he gave us a gift, and that gift was of a hand, to make it a little bit more literal, but yeah, that's kind of what happened. I don't know if that was actually our sister's hand. I kind of doubt it, but man, boxes or presents or whatever, and these titles, they really just don't blend well together, do they? It's always something bad. But yeah, in the last episode, we also came back to Chaos Head Noah. The Committee of Zero finally got their patch together, and ever since its release, I've been a little worried, a little suspicious. I kind of stated my feelings in the previous episode, but I wanted to not necessarily reiterate because I don't want to ramble for 10 minutes again, but I did want to say that I have seen that there are some disagreements with how this patch has been presented, specifically with its translation. Again, I said before, I didn't really have a problem with how things were presented in terms of the translation. I can't comment on the translation itself, but everything read fine. I truly believe that. I think that experience was totally okay. It's just the rest of it kind of sucks. The UI and everything being kind of clunky. It does have some fixes with this patch, I will say. So far, so good. I am a little disappointed to see that some things have been unnecessarily changed, some names and such, and I just wanted to inform you guys that they decided to change the names of the killings from what they were. And honestly, there's no official names, I guess, other than what was in the official translation, I guess. But I mean, it's all stemming from what it was in Japanese and just having a literal translation, I believe. But they decided to change the names of a lot of them for various reasons, and I'm not going to go into them, but I don't think that's really good necessarily. I think they were fine. I think they were totally fine the way they were. I think they got the message across. They were supposed to be silly and ridiculous, and that's just how it is. Offensive? Yeah, maybe that's just, you know, the nature of the game. The internet is offensive, and it's quite literally the internet that was coming up with the names in the story. The big one that people have been talking about is Pregnant Man, which I guess in their translation that they've done here, the Committee of Zero have changed to Man-Child. And, oh, by the way, you're going to get all of these name changes and more in Chaos Child. They decided to update their patch for that, and I think I narrowly avoided that. I think they made that change in 2022, so if you decide to use their patch, I guess now, well, that's what you get. I don't think that it's right, and just more and more thinking that they should have at least given people the option to use the official translation. They stand by the fact that the official translation is doo-doo garbage, but I, again, think it was totally fine. I can't comment on the translation itself, but like I said, it read fine. I just wanted to give you I wanted to give you guys a heads up on that, because people are talking about that, and I feel like you guys have the right to know. But going forward, I will not comment any more about the patch unless I guess I decide to not use it anymore, which I don't think is going to happen. I ran a poll, and so far the majority of you guys will want me to use the patch for the remainder of the playthrough, and that's fine. I'll do whatever you guys prefer. I don't really care. It's just whatever you guys want to see, I will do it. I'm sure that I will get the same experience regardless, or a similar one. I think everything will be hunky-dory either way. It's just, do I want a clunkier experience or not? One with a little bit of cut content or not, you know? I guess it be what it be. Also, I am not standing by the head moderator of r/visual novels. I know he's been the one to kind of talk about this a lot. He is a nutcase, and I'm sure the great majority of the visual novel community can agree with that. But I do believe that your experience will be just fine if you decide not to use this translation or this patch or whatever. Anyways, enough of the patch, conversation. I said that in the last episode. I mean it now. Let's play the goddamn game. Oh, that's right. We're not necessarily gonna jump here, but we are standing like hella floors up on a building, or no, we're on the rooftop of a building because we're trying to save our sister. And now we have like a good or bad delusion choice here. I'll go good because I don't know what could happen here. We don't want no bad ideas coming into our mind. Not this high up. Why were they fixated on me? Esper boy, what the hell was that all about? Did any of them have any idea what had happened today? We'd gotten hit by a damn earthquake. A seismic intensity 5 one. Over 1,000 fucking people had died. So why? Why were each and every one of them? Why were they waiting there just to see an otaku freak like me make an ass of himself? Well, let's see what lovely delusion we get here. Maybe we can fly or something. That'd be pretty tight. Well, we're definitely having a delusion. Shogun. It was most likely him who had brought them here. They were all under his mind control. All of them were expecting me to jump off from here and die. An overwhelming surge of negative emotions struck me. Tell me, was there anyone on my side? Suddenly, among the clamor, I heard a voice calling my name. Sounds really terrible. A voice all too familiar, a voice I knew, a voice that belonged to the one and only person on my side. It wasn't an illusion, and it wasn't an auditory hallucination either. It was Rimi. Rimi was calling me from somewhere. Where was she? I searched desperately for her. But there were too many people. It was impossible to identify a single person among all of them, especially from this height. Struck by despair, I hung my head in regret. Inevitably, as a consequence of this, I ended up looking directly below me. And there I saw the figure of a girl looking up at me, waving both hands. Yeah, that's her. I don't know why she sounds that terrible. There she was. She had come to save me. Happy as could be in realizing that I'd be saved, I nodded over and over again. My vision was blurred by tears of joy. I quickly wiped them away. I didn't want to lose sight of Rimi for even a single second. However, I looked again toward the spot Rimi was waving from and saw that something was wrong. For some reason, the crowd around Rimi started surrounding her. With Rimi in its center, a clear circle of dark heads began to form. They moved in closer and closer to her. And eventually, who knows how many Dokuns reached toward Rimi and began to jostle her. What the fuck? Hating what was being done to her, she tried to break free from the man-made enclosure, but due to the sheer number of people surrounding her, she couldn't take even one step. It was as if she was standing right in the middle of the morning train, a claustrophobic nightmare packed to the brim with people heading to work. I could faintly hear the sound of her screams. The number of people surrounding Rimi was gradually increasing, as was the intensity of their behavior. As they pushed her around, they pulled at her clothes, and eventually her jacket was stripped away. Oh, it's one of these delusions, huh? My prayers were left unanswered. The crowd rushing toward Rimi was still getting bigger and bigger, and her lone resistance wasn't enough to hold them back. Countless men tore off her clothes, pulled her hair, and dragged her out onto the road. Man, they gave her the doo-doo microphone for that one, huh? She disappeared into the sea of people, and I lost sight of her. Like hyenas devouring a dead animal's flesh, more and more Dokuns rushed in for a taste, their bodies stirring around where Rimi had just disappeared. Oh god, they were going to rape her. They were going to rape Rimi. What a start to this episode. First I ramble, then this. The Dokuns who had been brought here, who were being mind-controlled by Shogun, were going to ruin her, defile her with their filthy hands. And after that, after they were done raping her, she would meet a cruel, merciless end at their hands. Tears started to flow. I bit my lip hard. I wasn't crying simply out of sorrow and anger over what was happening to Rimi. I was crying because of the sheer terror I felt once I realized every single person there was my enemy. There was nowhere to run anymore. I was trapped. That was fun. That was a good delusion? I was scared, this close to pissing myself. I had never felt so close to death before. It felt like my consciousness was drifting away. And now I was like a child throwing a tantrum. I started to cry. I hoped that by doing so, Shogun would let me go. I hoped that by doing so, the crowd below would maybe feel sympathy for me and could save me. Or come save me. I hoped that by doing so, the police would realize I wasn't the culprit, just an innocent otaku freak. And then they would come save me. I hoped that by doing so, my parents would be watching TV at home and would come and take my place. What the fuck? I hope that by doing so, Rimi maybe would come rushing in to save me. I hope that by doing so, I would suddenly wake up and realize that it was all a dream. With this myriad of hopes in my mind, I shook my head desperately and cried out my sole wish. I don't want to die. And yet... Shogun's tone hadn't changed at all from before. When he said that, I froze, unable to take a step back nor look behind me. Even if that was true, Shogun's voice was very calm, which somehow only made him all the more intimidating. I couldn't even find it in me to say anything back. Death? Huh? Was I wrong? Then, did that mean I didn't have to die? Huh. Find my D-sword? How? I'd been searching for it as hard as I could for a long time, but I'd never even gotten close. It was completely absurd to think I could suddenly find it here just because he'd ordered me to. No. Oh, I don't remember what they said.
この剣は嘆きを収束させたもの。この剣は超越した場所に干渉するためのもの。異空間のようなもの。同一次元上にあるもう一つの可能性。あるいは妄想。言い方にあまり意味はないわ。唯一確かな。この剣もその領域に存在しているということ。いつの間にかそこにあった。気づかなかったわ、最初は。でもちょっとだけ見方を変えたら分かった。もしかしたら匠にももう見えているのかも。見ているだけ。
Maybe she was onto something there.
仕組みを知る。お前の見ている景色
本物か。妄想は現実にすることが可能だ。本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。つまりエラーを現実として認識させる。
そうだよ。すでに多くのヒントが提示されているよね。君にはもう見えているはず。君の眼下に広がっているその景色の中に。
So what he was saying was, Shogun was hiding a D sword somewhere in the scenery I was looking at, and I just had to find it?
見つけたら許してくれるの？
見つけるだけじゃクエストクリアにはならない。実際に剣を手に入れるんだ。その場から一歩も動いちゃならないっていうルールを破らないようにしてね。
There is no way I could do that. Isn't that like what I'm seeing there on the left? Like I've wondered about that since the last episode, but like isn't it like right there? Like to the right of that autumn sign? There's just something that's kind of sticking out there. It's not lining up with anything. It's right there. It's just floating. It kind of has like an eyeball on the hilt there, or like at the bottom of it. If I could move from here, or if I couldn't move from here, how was I supposed to grasp the fucking sword? What the hell did he even want me to do?
だからあいつは無理難題を突きつけておいて結局タッキーを殺したいだけなんだって。
それができないならナナミちゃんの命はないよ。
逃げようタッキー。お家に帰ろう。
But he just said that if I move one step from here, Nanami will die.
だからナナミッチはどうせ助からないってば。
But he said that I could save her.
あいつの言葉を信じるの？嘘ついてるかもしれないよ。
I strained my eyes. The bright lights from below made it hard to see much of the scenery at all. The further away it was, the harder it was to see. I mean, it's right there, right? It has to be that. I don't have my mouse pointer on, but like I am like circling it. It's like right there on the left. I was trying as hard as I could to look around, but the scenery I could see from here wasn't all that vast. Most of it was hidden behind buildings, but I had to find my sword.
無理だよ。
What the hell was I supposed to do? I thought about what Ayase and Senna had said once more. Oh, come on, don't repeat everything they just said.
ちょっとだけ見方を変えたら分かった。
本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。
And when I thought about that, for some reason I recalled the pattern of the ceiling in my parents' house. Yeah, that is a pattern. Back when I was a kid, I remembered having random thoughts about it before I'd gone to sleep. To me, the grain of the wood on the ceiling had looked somewhat like a face. And once I'd seen it that way, I could no longer see it as anything else. Why is that a tip? A type of optical illusion in which the shape of a stain on the wall looks like a human face, the shape of a cloud in the sky looks like an animal, or other similar phenomena. A large majority of spirit photography is simply... I don't know what the hell that is. No, I know exactly what it's talking about. If you see something in one particular way, it's hard to not see it the way that you originally saw it. Your mind only will perceive it as that one particular way because it stands out more. I don't have any examples. I just know exactly what he's talking about.
はいはい、目の錯覚目の錯覚。そんな木目どこにでもいっぱいあるよ。
But that's the name of the game here. Change your perspective. Change it so you see something that you'll never be able to see normally ever again. You peer into that other side a little bit, but also I think being in a unbelievable or hard to perceive or understand situation is going to help us. She was right. This didn't really compare to wood patterns, did it?
切り取るんだ。
Shogun murmured, his tone as detached as ever.
剣が見えたならそこから切り取る。 君にはそれができる。
はーい、意味不明。そいつは適当言ってるだけだよ。
妄想は現実にすることが可能だ。
Just like that flower bed? Just like when Ayase had divided herself in two? But the last time I had tried to materialize a real D-sword, I tried using a delusion on the fake one, but it didn't work. I shook my head once more and then scanned the scenery visible to me from here. It's right there. Come on, center it. Center it. Oh, no. Wait, come on. Go back a little to the left now. We got a quick save. Wait, what the fuck? I saw a sword. Oh, there's like choices here. Really small ass choices. How do I oh, here we go. Okay, I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, we saw a sword all right, but what would happen if we said no? I kind of want to save it here. We'll go back and I guess at some point see what happens if we actually say no. But yeah, we saw the sword. Or I did at least. I distinctly saw a sword. Yeah, I most definitely did. If I move from here, I can take it? That I'm not sure about, actually. Hold on a minute. Let's say yes.
君には失望したよ。
Nope, that wasn't it. I felt a strong push on my back. Before I could even notice, someone had moved up right behind me. I hadn't felt any presence. It couldn't have been Shogun. I hadn't heard the creaking sound of a wheelchair. Then who? Hello, people. The nightscape of Shibuya Station spun around and around. I fell to the earth. I felt the wind rushing over me. The ground was closing in. I could hear screams, or rather, cheers all around me. Is this it? Is this how it ends? Is this how I die? Oh god, no. Not like this. Not like this. I'm not gonna say that a whole bunch of times. Nice. No, okay, so we weren't supposed to move from there. But yeah, I was kind of wondering about that, to be honest. That was an easy game over, wasn't it? Hey, at least we got an ending. And now I don't have to worry about this save anymore. That was easy. No, like this one's pretty cut and dry. Yeah, we saw a sword. It's right over there on the left. We know where it's at. See, you can call me stupid for this, but like, I definitely doubted this third question. So it's a no on that one. I can see the sword from other places than here. No. It's not actually a sword. What kind of question is that? This is a double negative thing if we go with no. It's not actually a sword? Yes? That statement's correct? I'd seen it. There it is. Within the night landscape blurred by my teary eyes, amid the scenery in which light was warped by my welling tears, I'd found a spot that looked just like a sword. Just like what Ayase had said. I hadn't noticed it at first, but when I'd ever so slightly altered my perspective, it was there before I knew it. Even if it had just been a coincidence, I was more than happy with it. The more I thought of it as a sword, the more defined it became, and over time, it was becoming more and more real. It was slowly turning into a definite part of my scenery, or of the scenery, and eventually, even its contours became clearly distinguishable.
見つけたんだね。
Likely having noticed my change in demeanor, Shogun immediately spoke to me.
では手を伸ばしてその剣を切り取ってほしい。
I want to reach out your hand? You want me to reach out my hand?
深く考えなくていいんだ。君にならできるよ。
できるわけないじゃん。ダメ、タッキー。そんなことしたら下に落ちちゃう。落ちたら死んじゃうよ。
I looked down. I saw the crowd filled with countless people. The ambulance still had yet to arrive. Just like back at noon, the response time was far, far too slow. Not that it was surprising. That was just how damaging the earthquake this morning had truly been. What a long day.
なんてできないよ。
What a long and wild day.
固定観念にとらわれたらダメだ。最初からできるわけがないと思っていたら何もできない。常識を捨て去ってあるがままを見ればいいんだ。君には力がある。世界はその力に応えてくれる。あの花壇みたいに。
Could I really do that? If I just reached out, would that sword become mine? If so, then I should at least give it a try. ISA had said that my D sword would bring me salvation. Maybe those words were referring to exactly what was happening now. I would grasp the sword, complete the quest, bring Nanami home safe and sound, and have Shogun leave me alone forever. Oh, if it could only be that easy. And then I would return to my peaceful life that I'd been living up until now.
そんなに都合よくいくと思う？将軍があっさりタッキーを見逃すって？だって相手は10人も殺した連続殺人鬼なんだよ。
Even Shogun wouldn't make me do the impossible. I could do it. He wouldn't tell me to do it if I wasn't capable of it.
あいつはタッキーを殺したいだけ。忘れたの？集団ダイブの映像。将軍は5人の男女を1回も触れることなく転落死させたんだよ。
I'm sorry, Saraton, but I'm already reaching for my salvation. The crowd below started rumbling. My every move was being monitored by the thousands of people packed in front of the station. And it wasn't just them. I was also being watched by tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people all over Japan watching live on TV. There's supposed to be an "of" there. I started feeling nauseous. The extreme pressure imposed by such a large number of people made my heart feel like it would explode at any second. Y'all are getting loud here. No, just forget about them. If I stayed focused on them, I'd be too nervous to even lift a finger. I needed to focus only on the sword. Being as careful to maintain my footing as possible. Damn, they really are loud. I reached my hand out. I tried to aim directly at the sword, letting my intuition do the rest. I felt nothing. The wind rushed toward me relentlessly. On top of that, the direction it was coming from was inconsistent. 1 second it was blowing at me from the front, the next it pushed me from the side. I clung to the acrylic plate in an attempt to support myself, but it was too slippery to bring me anything more than emotional support. If I let my guard down, alright, beautiful, perfect, even slightly, I'd get blown off. Even so, I was still trying desperately to grab the sword, but no matter how hard I tried, I didn't succeed.
できるわけないよ。だってあれは本当の剣じゃないんだよ。
Tears welled up once more. My vision blurred, and what had once appeared to be an object similar to a sword began to lose its shape. I quickly wiped my tears away. I had the feeling that once I lost sight of it, it wouldn't appear ever again.
それならもっと手を伸ばせばいい。
Fuck you. You don't know how this feels. I bit my lip to hold back the tears, leaned forward more than I ever had before, and fished around in the open air with my hand. But I still couldn't grasp the sword.
もっと
If I fell from here, it'll hurt. I would know. We saw it like 10 minutes ago. Probably not even. I looked down once again. I was higher than I thought it was. Or it was higher. Or I was higher than I thought I would. What the fuck did that say? I felt dizzy, so I pulled back and clung to the acrylic plate once more.
どうしたの？剣を早く手に入れて。でないといつまで経ってもナナミちゃんは戻ってこないの。
I shouldn't have looked down. I couldn't stop shaking. I thought I was going to slip because of it. I was so unbelievably afraid.
できないよ。許して。
君はあまり僕を舐めない方がいい。君のわがままに付き合うつもりはないんだ。理想度を手に入れる。それができないなら君の妹は死ぬ。 君も死ねばいい。ただそれだけ。
Oh god, I don't want to die.
死にたくない。
That's what I just said. I had no choice but to try again. I leaned out through the hole and extended my arm. I could still see the sword over there. I tried again and again, but of course nothing happened. It felt like I could reach it, but for some reason I just couldn't do it. I leaned out even further. I stretched my hand out as far as I could, reaching out my entire body to try and grasp the sword. I even straightened out my fingertips. And then I slowly closed my hand. But just like every time before it, I felt nothing.
手が届かないよ。
It was impossible, just like Saraton had told me it was. There had never been a way for me to grab that translucent sword. Perspective had made it look normal size, but when I actually thought about it, I realized how enormous it actually was. It wasn't a size a human could realistically carry.
その剣をつかめばクエストクリアなんだよ。
でも落ちちゃう。届かない。
ナナミちゃんを助けなくていいの？
助けて。もう許して。死にたくないんだよ。
昼間のことを思い出すんだ。君の力があればそこから落ちたとしてもまた花壇を出現させればいい。君は落ちても死なない。
自信ある？
Right then, Saraton's snarky whisper reached my ear. Am I sure I can do it? Do what?
タッキーがここから落ちて下の地面に激突するまでほんの3秒もないよ。
I'm glad I can hear myself think that it's
その
been a
間
while,
に
you know?
自分の意志でまた花壇を出現させる。タッキーがそんなすごいことできる？今まで一度も自分で意識してその力とかってのを使ったことないっしょ？
Oh, come on. That was true. And even if I did have powers, I had no idea how to use them.
ねえ、逃げよう。タッキーはよくやったよ。でもこれ以上は無理。死にたくないっしょ？
Oh, I didn't choose anything there. Oh well. But Nanami.
どうせ生意気なナナミッチのことだからさ。
I guess I just
こ
couldn't
こでタ
decide.
ッキーが頑張って助けたって感謝してくれなさそうじゃん。
Saraton's words got straight to the point, and it caught me off guard. It was true that even if I saved her life, Nanami would probably say something like,
お兄のせいでこんな目にあったんだからね。バカ。
She wouldn't even thank me. Instead, she would just insult me. I'd have to bear living with a family that would despise me for the rest of my life. At the end of the day, no matter what I could say about her, Nanami was still just some 3D little sister. She didn't make me moe over her, and she didn't have the pure heart of a 2D character. She was always looking down on me, and she secretly, no, not secretly, made fun of me whenever she could. What happened to my bratty bitch of a sister was none of my business. Saraton was one thing, but my shit-tier little sister wasn't worth betting my life on.
タッキー、自分のことだけ考えよう。私はさ、タッキーに死んでほしくないな。こうしてずっとタッキーの脳内で二人きりでお話し続けたいんよ。
Same. I also felt the most comfortable when talking to Saraton. I didn't give a shit about Nanami. Okay, but now what?
死にたくない。痛いのは嫌だ。死ぬのは嫌だ。消えるのは嫌だ。ナナミがどうなろうと。僕は痛くも痒くもない。
I muttered all of that to myself. That was my way of trying to make it sound convincing. The one I should trust, it wasn't Shogun. It was Saraton.
あの剣に見えるだけで剣じゃない。ただの光の反射とか目の錯覚だ。
そうだよ。さあ、帰ろう。 帰ったらさ、私のパンツ見ながらいっぱいエッチなこと想像していいから。
Oh, fun. That sounds great.
僕帰る。帰って、セイラタンで
God
母
damn it.
嬉しいな。タッキーのためにエッチなポーズたくさんしてあげるね。
Alright, I guess we're leaving. I slowly withdrew my outstretched hand. That alone made me feel much more at ease. I took Seraton out of my chest pocket and gazed at her smile. As long as I had her forgiveness, I didn't need anything else. I sniffled, sucking up the snot that had been dripping from my nose. I then turned around and started walking toward Shogun.
誰が動いていいと許可した？クエストはまだクリアしていないぞ。
僕は勇者なんかじゃない。妹一人救えないようなヘタレなキモータだよ。
Yeah, you got that right.
僕に期待しないで。僕を見ないで。僕をそっとしておいて。
ではナナミちゃんは殺すことにするよ。
どうせもう死んでる。
She was already dead. Nanami had been brutally murdered by Shogun. Everyone would report on it starting tomorrow, treating it as the 6th NewGen incident. It saddened me, but there was nothing I could do about it. Wait a minute. The fuck? What was that about? Hey, yo. What's happening here? I heard the sound of dripping water. No, it wasn't water. It was blood, Nanami's blood. Dark red blood dripped from the wrist where her hand had been severed.
なんで助けてくれなかったの？鬼って最低。
Wow. I screamed my guts out. Now that's voice acting right there. That's some shit. The world turned crimson. My anger, my sadness, and my shame were ripping my head apart. My thoughts were a chaotic mess. I guess you could say he's got chaos. I'm gonna stop myself. Without any rhyme or reason, I charged towards Shogun. I made to grab him within his hiding place in the shadows. But I didn't get the physical response I'd expected. I collapsed along with the wheelchair. I must have hurt my elbow, as pain was shooting through it. So it was Shogun? Grimacing, I searched for the person who should have been sitting on the wheelchair. At my feet, a head tumbled across the ground. Terrified, I slowly reached out my hand, and what I felt was extremely hard. Rather than a freshly severed head, it was very clearly a helmet?
これ
A pitch black helmet. Oh.
ダーススパイダー。
Yeah, Lord Vader. What the fuck? Is that it? We got the chapter complete, and there it is, Chapter 7, Psychopath. That was something. I don't know what to make of that. Back to confusing shit that I can't follow or describe. Despite midnight quickly approaching, the ticket gates of the subway's Hanzomun line were still filled to the brim with people. The earthquake had violently disrupted the public transportation schedules, and no one was even attempting to hide their frustration as they passed through the ticket gates. Employing a sidelong glance, Ban Yasuji inspected the monitor resting in the station attendant booth. The station staff had received a call yesterday during their morning operations. The caller had reported that a high school girl, wielding a gigantic bladed weapon, was going on a rampage in the area, and the police had been dispatched in response to this, but upon arriving at the scene, They found no trace of the girl, nor the man who had supposedly been attacked. Bon, who had happened to overhear the story earlier, was very interested in the appearance of the male victim. The fact that there had been several similar incidents had also caught his attention. This was why Bon was making an appearance here at such an hour. Oh, excuse me. According to his sources, the incident had been captured in full on one of the surveillance cameras. When Bon asked the station attendant to show him the video, they willingly agreed, but warned the detective that the video was a little creepy. Oh, come on. I'm sure he's seen some wicked shit on LiveLeak. Duly noting this, Bon elected to have them show him the video. The video was full of static. Maybe it's from the earthquake, Bon thought to himself. There had been various reports about the earthquake causing citizens to lose hard disk data, leaving Bon to wonder, whether it was related. It would be difficult to identify anyone in the recording, as they were just barely visible. The recording featured a single man. He was standing by the wall in the far right corner of the screen. The wall was located slightly far from the ticket gates, meaning passengers would not travel past it very often as they were changing trains. Incidentally, a few other passengers had just crossed in front of the camera. The man's appearance was hard to make out due to the fierce static, but he was fairly short and thin, and he was carrying a large rucksack. What exactly he was doing, Bon could not say. After about an hour or so had passed in the video, a small change occurred. A few people commuting to work were walking in the direction of the man, and then they swiftly stopped. To Bon, it looked like they had been drawn to the man with the rucksack. This is what we saw in that park, right? This is pretty much the same shit. Mind control. What was truly strange, however, was that they did not even speak to him. They simply stood there in a daze. The people who had stopped did not seem to be acquaintances of the man. They were of different ages, sexes, statures. There was absolutely nothing they all shared. What in blazes is going on? Staring at the monitor, Bon tilted his head to the side, and as he did so, a lone girl entered the frame. She had long hair and she was wearing a uniform from Suume Academy, of course. But of course, the girl headed straight for the man with the rucksack in a manner that could only be described as exuding nothing but pure, unadulterated confidence. Her movements were entirely unlike those who had stopped before. Instead of halting, the girl pushed aside the people gathered there and seized him by his collar. And for a short period of time, the two of them argued about something. Rather than an argument, however, it was far closer to the girl simply screaming at the man without giving him room for air. Or at least that's how it appeared. A few of the people who had stopped seemed to return to their senses and promptly left the scene. Eventually, the girl thrust the man away from her. The girl took a step back from the man who had fallen on his rear and then assumed a strange pose. She lowered her hips and brought both fists next to her ears. The girl looked as if she was holding something, but there was nothing in her hands. According to the report, the girl had been wielding a large blade, but where on earth could she be hiding such a thing? The answer to that soon became apparent. Well, I knew it was her. Suddenly the camera shook. It was not static. The rustling hair and clothes of the passers-by made it clear. Their surveillance camera itself was shaking. Bon gawked at the screen. He had no idea where she had retrieved it from, but the next thing he knew, the girl was holding a gigantic sword in her hand, one that was longer than she was tall. Bon asked for the tape to be rewound just so he can confirm what he had seen. But no matter what angle he examined it from, the sword appeared to have been conjured out of thin air. What I'm kind of curious about actually is, how is this being seen? How was this captured? Is that like a weakness to these D-swords? The girl had not moved a single muscle, and had remained in her hunched position the entire time. This much was undeniable. The people in the video went into a panic when faced with the sudden appearance of the sword, but the girl did not seem to care about the people around her. The man with the rucksack, however, was very clearly terrified. He tried desperately to scramble to his feet and run away, but the girl would not allow that. With the incredibly agile movement, she pursued the fleeing man and swung her gigantic sword as if it was light as a feather. in a manner akin to a violent windstorm. The sword tore the man's rucksack to pieces. The impact was so strong, the man immediately collapsed to the ground. Despite this, he appeared uninjured. In fact, when the police officers had arrived on the scene immediately after receiving the call, they had not found even a single trace of blood. Then, as if the girl had heard Bond's murmuring, something that should have been impossible, considering it was a recording, she suddenly turned toward the camera. Then the screen ever so slightly distorted, and the girl's figure disappeared in an instant. It was as if she had never been there to begin with. The man's shredded rucksack had been left behind, and the remnants of it were proof that the girl had been there. It was hard to tell because of the static, but it was clear that the girl had disappeared from the screen in less than a second. Bond rewound the tape again. There was nothing that seemed unnatural about the time displayed in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. In other words, the footage had not been edited. But if that were true, how could Bond explain the girl and the sword? Bond, feeling as though he had seen a ghost, could do nothing more than remain completely and utterly puzzled. So can they make their swords, appear, physically for everybody to see? I don't remember the rules of the D-swords here. A world of complete and utter white, and I was lying right there in the center of it all. It felt as if I were floating, but I didn't know whether or not I actually was. I couldn't figure out what direction I was facing. Not up, nor down, not left nor right. The silence was deafening. It felt as if there were hundreds of insects buzzing around in my head at once. If someone were to tell me that this was the afterlife, well, I couldn't see myself contesting it. That was how. Monotonous, simplistic, tranquil, orderly, immaculate, empty, and peaceful the world was. Hey, I can pronounce some words, cool. Perhaps this was the mind of Buddha. Was like upon reaching enlightenment. It was so incredibly different from my own mind. I wanted to stay here forever. The irritation that came with reality, the loneliness, the pain, the suffering, I didn't want to face any of it anymore. You and me both, brother. As my thoughts began to cascade, I heard a noise burst into the white world that had previously been silent. The sound of a door being opened, and the sound of someone's footsteps getting closer and closer.
鬼来たよ。いっしょいっしょ。お兄、今日ね、ナナね、いいもの持ってきたんだよ。はい、これプレゼント。手編みの帽子なんだよ。すごいでしょ？すごいでしょ？もう冬だしね。ナナね、帽子好きだから編んだの。使ってね。もう、お兄、無視しないでよ。ああ、ご飯残してるじゃん。せっかくのカレーなのに。ちゃんと食べないとダメなんだよ。ねえねえ、病院のご飯って美味しくないって本当？でも食べないとダメ。起きろ、お兄。食べずに寝たら夜になってお腹空いちゃうんだから。
Someone's hand made its way under my back and forcibly shook my body awake. That was when I first realized that my eyes had been closed. Well, obviously this is the past. I kind of had an idea there from from her voice being, or sounding a little younger, I guess. When I opened my eyes, a little girl was standing there. It was Nanami, my little sister. But she was awfully little. It was Nanami from a long time ago. But how long ago, I wondered? She must have been at least in elementary school. The younger Nanami scooped up some curry with a plastic spoon and then offered it to me. And I slapped the hand holding the spoon. Even after all this time, I still didn't know what had been going on through my head. But in that moment, I'd knocked away the tray of curry and rice with my hand and sent it crashing to the floor.
お兄、お行儀悪いんだ。お母さんに言いつけてやるぞ。
Nanami crouched down to the floor and picked up the tray I'd cast aside. She then retrieved a washcloth from the sink in the corner of the room and began cleaning up the mess I'd made.
ほんと、世話が焼けるな。ナナがいないと、なんにもできないんだから。
That's enough. I covered my face with my hands and then slowly closed my eyes.
ごめんね。あなたを守ってあげられなくて。
Ayo? I slowly opened my eyes and saw a white ceiling. It was so bright it nearly blinded me. I blinked my eyes a few times. I tried to move my fingertips. I raised my hand in front of my face. The palm of my hand created a shadow. At last, I was free from the blinding glare. I had been dreaming about Nanami, and ever since I could remember, she had an especially strong will. After the bus accident back in elementary school, I'd stopped talking to anyone and everyone, but even so, that part of Nanami only became stronger and stronger. Unlike my parents, who were simply overprotective and nothing else, she'd taken care of me, all while remaining strict and firm. But that dream, had I ever been hospitalized before? I had gone in for checkups, sure, but, well, it was just a dream, so there was no real reason to take it, nor the contradiction seriously. I don't know about that. I was lying on a bed. It was a white bed with a pipe frame. The sheets were white, the pillows were white, the floor was white. I'm not even going to try, I'm stupid. The wallpaper was white, the fluorescent lights on the ceiling were white, the curtains covering the windows were white. The small shelf next to the bed was white, the ceramic water pitcher was white, the paper cups were white. I was starting to get fed up with all the white. Mustering up my resolve, I attempted to sit up. For a split second, I felt a numbing pain jolt through the area around my waist, but it went away just as suddenly as it appeared. The room was fairly large, at least twice the size of my base, but what really bothered me was how incredibly dreary it was. Maybe it was a hospital room, excuse me. There was a pair of green slippers lined up right beneath the bed. Yeah, I think I see that. I was relieved to find a color other than white. My body was moving just fine, and it didn't seem like I was dead either. I was thirsty. I wanted a cola, an ice cold carbonated cola. But there was no way I'd be able to find something like that in this pure white room, so I was forced to pour water directly from the pitcher into my mouth. There was a cup there, buddy. It was a bit lukewarm, but it was enough to satisfy my thirst. I know you. Upon finishing the water, I took a breath. The door then opened, and a nurse wearing white scrubs came into the room. That was enough for me to confirm that I was in a hospital after all. Upon seeing me, her eyes grew slightly wide. She must have thought I would still be asleep.
あら、西條さん、目が覚めたんですね。
Why doesn't your mouth move? Facing me, she gave me a gentle smile, the mark of a true nurse. But something told me I'd seen this person before. I remember her now. She was the grill who had been at the hospital when I'd gone to see Dr. Takashina a while back. What had she said her name was? I couldn't remember, so I stole a glance at the name tag on her chest. Hazuki was written on it. Right, Hazuki-san.
お体の調子はどうですか?
Hazuki-san held out a thermometer to me so naturally I couldn't help but take it.
体温を測ってくださいね。
With how nicely she'd asked me, I had no choice but to comply. My head was overrun with question marks, but I put the thermometer inside my armpit nonetheless. Immediately after I did so, a memory burst to life inside my head. I remembered what had happened. Okay, so we'll save it here, and I guess we'll get kind of caught up as to what went down here on the roof here. Hella stories above in the clouds looking down on people and shit. I don't know what to take from this episode. It really was a lot of just like, oh no, what's going to happen and all of that. Yeah, we didn't need that save anymore. We already knew what happened there. I guess I'm going to start overwriting because I don't want to use different pages. I never do that. Alrighty. Yeah, I really don't know what to take from all this. It really was just a lot of trying to get the D-sword and still failing. Unless we were able to here. I guess we'll find out in the next episode if he was successful. But something happened that put him in the hospital. And I really wonder what. Again, we'll find out in the next one, I'm sure. Thank you all for watching this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz. And I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy.